meet Jack. Today we're going to be taking him through his training program, what it's going to look like for the next 12 weeks, taking from newbie gains to Jack.
Jackie boy, how are we?
How you doing?
Obviously with this video, the intention is to run through the entire training layout that we're going to go through for programming and kind of what that's going to entail. But just to remind me and other people, what is your goal at the moment and like what is your why as well?
Well, main goal is to put on weight. I find it really hard to put on weight. I'm an actually skinny guy, so it's been really tricky for me.
On your questionnaire that you've sent over to me that I've got here, I think the last time you filled it in, you were 55 kilos. What are you now?
I think I'm like 58 now.
Flying, mate.
Yeah.
Flying. I think it's always, I don't know, at the start, it can sometimes be difficult to get the initial pounds and kilos on, but it just goes to show for other people as well who may be in a similar position. If you're consistent and you carry on showing up and you keep doing the thing and you keep putting the calories in, and you keep getting the reps and the sets and the workouts in, it will change. Obviously, the last time we went over the nutrition and the shopping basket and some of the foods that you're having, and from that we were kind of looking and guesstimating around 3,000 to 3,200 calories is going to be the goal. Have you been sticking to around that?
Yeah, roughly about 3,000, tiny bit more. Usually, yeah.
Here's like your profile, mate, and what I've done inside there is just on your questionnaire, you put on goals, just put on weight and muscle. Obviously, we spoke about last time about how we didn't just want to put on weight because we don't want to add loads of body fat, although we will accumulate a little bit. We want to try and put on muscle. So we looked at food and we went over, okay, calories are going to be between 3,000 to 3,200. The protein goal of what I'm not too sure 100% what you're getting in protein wise at the moment, but anything over 130 grams would be good. For your body weight, which you think you're roughly about around 125 pounds maybe. Do you know what your protein's at the moment?
I think it's about like 120, I think.
As long as you're roughly between the 120, 130, that's going to be enough for us to grow, replenish, recover from those weight sessions. And then supplementation, I know that you put in the questionnaire you were using some of these supplements like creatine and multivitamin and protein anyway. And
yeah.
They're like the main things from, I know you're using those from My Protein, which is great. Creatine, great for power output, great for recovery, helps with recovery of intense movements between reps and sets and stuff. Multivitamin for sure, great for just the overall health. And then protein powder. Obviously we need to bump that protein intake up a little bit. A really easy way to add protein to oats or yogurt or pre or before gym, dead easy again. And down here you just got all the protein stuff. So are you using MyFitnessPal day to day?
Not at the moment, no.
You don't need to use it every single day, which is what I say to a lot of people, but even if you just record one day, it will pull all the data over onto here and just show kind of like what your rough breakdown of protein, carbs, fats, etc. is for me to have a look at. The most important stuff which we're talking over this week is going to be training. The best thing that I think with training is to not force feed things in terms of doing something that's completely out of the realms. If you've been doing something similar to upper lower, I think that's good. But for some people, push pull legs might be good. If upper lowers work at the moment, I find it useful, especially like when you're in the kind of newbie gains phase, because you're hitting all muscle groups twice per week and you're getting a lot of volume over all muscle groups. So I've just set this up for the week of kind of roughly split down of what you've probably been following anyway. But the one thing I wanted to get to grips with is days that you'll usually train, because I think you sometimes train on a Saturday.
Yeah.
What do you usually train on a Saturday?
I'm not too sure. It changes each week.
And then do you rest on Friday?
Rest on Sunday and Wednesday.
We'll put in this for now and then we'll add an extra training day in there. But I've basically gone through and just picked some of the compound movements to upper. So we've got like barbell bench press, got some cable flies, dumbbell shoulder press, dumbbell lateral raises. I always put a lot of dumbbell lateral raises in because when we're looking for like that capped delt look and put more size on, lateral raises are really easy movement for to do that without too much weight load and too much bearing. Like if we're looking at strength, and obviously overhead pressing movements are going to be great, but when it comes to actually slapping tissue onto the delt and looking a bit saucier, then a lateral raise and like cable flies are going to be really good for doing that and adding some load without too much fatigue. So we've got plenty of like chest, shoulders, back. We're always finishing with like kind of bicep and tricep movements on the end of upper days to add extra volume into those areas. Lower, we've got more sort of quad focused stuff on the Tuesday, and then the Saturday lower session is starting off with hamstring and some hip hinge movements first, and then going to quad work and a bit of calf work. And then the Thursday upper day, we're starting with some more pulling dominant stuff, whereas the Monday upper day is starting with some more push dominant stuff. So we've got things in here like we practiced when me and you did the session of the banded pull-ups. I always like putting pull-ups in because I think it's one of those old school movements that a lot of people don't use anymore, but back in the day, like Arnold used them all the time, and they're really good kind of strength metric that we can use. And like we were talking about when we're looking at building muscle, I think it's also good to build strength and also focus on performance, because we have these different elements of like aesthetic, the way we look, performance, the way that we perform, and how health, if we can kind of be in the middle of all those, it's really useful. So pull-ups is a good tool for us to use to measure performance and strength over a pull-up movement. And then we've got other things in there, like a bit of chest, we've got incline dumbbell press, we've got some pec deck. Again, we've got our lateral raises, but on a cable machine, so a little bit of a different feel, but again, trying to build those wider shoulders to give that illusion of that V-taper. Then we've got some bent over barbell row stuff, cable face pulls, which I really like, again, for building the rear delts, and then some easy bar curls to finish off as well. So I would imagine there's not too many movements in there that are going to be unorthodox to you or anything that's out the realms.
No. Yeah.
But is there anything in there in terms of movements that you're not used to or anything that you've not done before?
Not really, to be honest, no.
You're just a monster doing everything, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I know you've been doing a lot of the compound stuff anyway, so you should be used to a lot of training volume. The thing that my methodology is that I think as long as you take stuff as close as you can to failure, you're going to grow. In terms of what you've been doing at the moment with sets and reps, Jack, what kind of sets and rep range you've been predominantly working in?
Usually about 10 to 12 reps, and depending on the fatigue, either between 2 and 4 sets. It just depends how fatigued I am, really.
I think like when you're in this stage, anything you do, you're just going to grow from, because you've got that really hyper responsive period of you pick up a barbell and you're going to grow from it. But obviously when you're in that hard gaining phase, and I remember when I was in it, I was slamming back like mutant mass shakes and all the calories that I could and trying to train as much as possible, because I was super skinny and really struggled to put weight on. But then like you're doing now, if you just keep pushing through it and keep putting the food in and keep showing up for the training sessions and do the basics, you will grow from it. But I think if you have that extra kind of refinement into what you're doing with the workouts and the sessions, you will grow further, especially there's progression in it. And I think the main thing is it doesn't need to be changes in workouts every single week. It's more so about when you go in, can you think to yourself, do you know what, can I just push a little bit harder this week? Or can I get an extra rep on this bench press or this curl this week that I didn't get last week? And I think as long as you're going in with that mentality, then you're all good. But I know from when me and you trained anyway, dude, that you're pushing yourself hard anyway and you're always going for things. And I think even since we tested your metrics last time, the bench, the squat and the deadlift and stuff, I think you even hit a new PB, didn't you, the weekend?
Yeah, deadlift I got 65 kg.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. So I think that will probably kick in as well, where through the strength stuff that you're doing, especially with the upper and lower, and then giving yourself adequate rest periods, you'll probably see that you'll hit a lot of PBs over the next couple of weeks. So if you can, whilst you're going through this training week, just be recording some of the movements, because I think the other thing that'll be good is if I can just take a look over some of them and give you like any feedback on them as well, just from my perspective. Because I think like when we train together, there's like a couple of tweaks that we can make and you're like, wow, now I feel way stronger through the bench press, or I feel way stronger through the deadlift. And sometimes it's just like, I like to get people to look at my form because it really helps me improve. You know, sometimes like you look at a different angle of where you're at and you think, oh, I didn't notice that. Now I can maybe change this a little bit or change that a little bit.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot, like even slight changes in your form, it improves it so much. It will isolate a certain muscle group, and if you're doing an exercise, like you might be doing it wrong, but only by a slight bit. You just need to tweak it a bit, and then you're targeting the right muscle. Yeah,
exactly, man. Even after 10 years or so of training, that still happens. You'll always have movements that you feel like you're stronger at, or weak point. Like what is your, if you have to pick one, what's your weak point at the moment?
It'd probably be when I'm doing like back exercises. It's probably that.
Yeah. So that's something that we can add extra volume to. Like with anything, maybe the more sets and reps that we apply to it, and as we scale it and as we progress it, we can add more to it. But the other thing I want to ask you is as well, because I think everyone has this as a motivator. Who do you look up to in the fitness space? Like who inspires you and motivates you to train?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I just like bounce off other people. I see people doing well, and then they're just like loads of different people.
When I first started, there was people like Steve Cook and some of those sorts of people, and Ryan Terry. I know who you went to a gym the other week, are always big aspirations for me. And it just depends. Like I think you'll be motivating a lot of people, mate. And I think that's the thing that I never had when I was a skinny kid training. There was no one to kind of go, I relate to this guy, and he's doing the thing that I want to do. So I think you'll be helping more people than you could have ever imagined, just helping them on their journey as well.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start training now?
I started in September, so about 6 months now. Yeah,
we've got a good 6 months under our belt, and I think the next 6 months, mate, like you will always make a big chunk of progress in that first 6, but I think now really dialing into this next 6 months, you can make way more progress than that, just because what you've learned now to be able to then go into the gym and apply. But since you started, what do you think's changed in terms of physically, mentally, education? Just tell me a few things, what you what you've picked up on over the past 6 months?
I think my confidence has increased a lot. When I first started, I was very shy, and now I find it a lot easier talking to people. And also in the gym, when I first started, I didn't really know much about anything. And to be able to learn all the different exercises, all the different machines, it's definitely helped with my training a lot.
I think that confidence thing is such a big one. I think the fact that you just were willing to pick up a camera and record yourself. I mean, I remember the first time I did it, I felt like an absolute a-hole doing it and just felt stupid and didn't want to do it, and it felt uncomfortable. And then you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you get a bit better and a bit better and a bit better. And then you start meeting other people. I know me and you met like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then since then, you've obviously grown both in terms of physical stature, your mental, and then also your social status as well. I mean, it's good to just see someone who's truly honest and transparent and bringing positive things to the fitness industry growing as well. And I hope it continues to move that way, mate. We've obviously spoken about kind of what the next goals are for you, and we want to try and get to 60 kilos, which I think you're not even that far away from now. What are sort of the long-term goals that we're looking to try and achieve?
I want to try and get to around 70 and then about 80 kg. Really
looking like an absolute house piece then. 40 kilos. But man, it's all going to be progressive. And then I know that you have recently kind of switched what you're doing. When we first met, you were a student. So what is the goal with you and what you're doing now, and what kind of your career holds inside fitness as well?
Yeah, so when I first started out, I was still in college. I dropped out in December to do content because it started picking up a bit, and I've been trying to do videos daily or every other day, documenting my journey. And now really I just want to continue with that, and then in September I might go on a college course to get a qualification, so then eventually I can become a PT.
Amazing, mate.
After a few years, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the course that I followed, mate. It was personal trainer, and then started working more online, and then working with cool people like yourself. I think training wise, mate, this week will be really interesting, especially if you're going to do a couple of different movements. We're going to be filming some of them. There's probably going to be more DOMs, so that delayed onset muscle soreness, which it's a good indicator, but it's not the only indicator to grow muscle, because we've got other aspects of building tissue that fall into that realm of hypertrophy, which is for us where a lot of stuff's going to fall. Obviously, we do want to develop strength. The main factor for us is putting on muscle, which is going to require us to be at the end of the day, it's going to require us, but one, eat slightly more calories than we're expending, and then two, making sure that we're stimulating the muscle enough for it to grow, which is mainly hypertrophy. So making sure that we're taking it as close to failure as we can, breaking down the tissue, then rebuilding the next day. A lot of people like to overcomplicate putting on muscle, but as long as we're doing those two really simple things, the rest of the stuff should really kind of fall into play. And like you've been doing at the moment, we've been putting on muscle tissue at a really good rate, mate. So I'm excited to kind of see how the next week or so unfolds with what you're doing.
It should be
awesome,
good,
mate.
yeah.
There you have it, a quick rundown of Jack's training program and what it's going to look like for the next few weeks. We will be checking back in with Jack's over the next couple of months, and we have something very special going on in the next month or two.